Chart Nerd TA update. I'm going to be diving into a new altcoin today, one called XPR Proton. So do not get this confused with XRP because it's not XRP, okay? It's called Proton XPR. Now this is something I had on my radar, I think last year during the bull run. And I think it's just a little bit lackluster, and it's got great use cases, similar to those that are already within the market. I won't lie, but there's a few special components within this project that I think have an advantage over others. Okay, so do go and dive into XPR if you are interested in the project itself. But I wanted to specifically get into some TA today and just basically look at where we are right now. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit later during the video, okay, and you will see how far down this project is. I do think it's currently down about 95%, okay. So if this is to survive, this could provide optimal opportunities, okay. And recently I think they've got a new DEX, a new exchange coming out on Proton, okay, so do watch out for that as well. That could be a sort of signal to either buy into the news or whatever it is, or in the near short term may bring some sort of price change to the upside. So based on that, okay, what I wanted to look at here for Proton is this is on the daily time frame. So right now you can see that we've basically got this resistance and this support, and you're in this sort of range at the moment, looking to find out which direction you want to move in. Okay, so keeping this in mind, okay, we're going to get rid of that anyway, but you've got that resistance up here, current resistance. Right down here you've got current support. Okay, now what you can see is from this low, we're basically holding support here, okay, and you've got this low here, okay. You came up to a high, you retrace back down to this low for support, and then you've come up, you made a lower high, come back again to support, and you're basically starting to coil up here, okay. But we do have resistance in our above us that we need to break before we see any continuation. So straight off, you've got this point of resistance here, okay, of which I think is it's actually quite a strong point of resistance on the daily time frame, because what you can see here, I'll just get that straight. What you can see here, okay, is that we came down, we ran into this resistance, found this low, okay, and then we came up, we had some sort of double M top pattern, lost it as support, turned it to resistance, came back, found a high level of support. Okay, so we've got high levels of support. Right now you've come up, you've put in a lower high than this high here, okay, which is quite negative. Okay, so there is resistance above our heads right now, but you are coiling up in some sort of pattern here, looking for some sort of breakout. Now there's two ways you could look at this. We're either in a ascending triangle, okay, and this right here was just a little fake out. So right now we're basically doing something like this, okay, coiling up, looking to break out of this resistance. If you do see XPR break 0.002216, primarily you're looking to come up to a minimum of 0.002379. okay, so if you do see XPR start to come up here, tackle this as resistance, hold it as support. For me, you're looking for a minimum long up to this price tag, okay, which could provide us from current price, if you do see that breakout, of around a 10% long. Okay, but what's to say that that's going to come into fruition? Well, the only thing that will confirm that is that if you're coiling up in this sort of ascending triangle here and you hold support and you do get this breakout, okay, because then you're in a technical target from there to there, and you can see that XPR would literally be breaking out. Okay, and what you could have on your hands is some sort of a wave 1, this is a wave 2 pullback, a wave 3, come back to the wave 1 high, okay, and then a wave 5, and you're looking basically to come back up to previous support that you haven't even back tested as resistance yet. Okay, so I'll get into that a bit more on the weekly time frame in a second, but right now potentially you are coiling up here, potentially, okay, potentially in this ascending triangle, but at the same time there's other ways we can look at this. Okay, so I'm just keeping the chart sweet and simple right now, just using patterns, not many indicators, okay, and just going off support and resistance, but just trying to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so this is one sort of pattern that I'm looking at right now, okay, but equally we also have this trend line here. Okay, so if we get rid of this resistance right now, you can see that we're sort of coiling up in some sort of horizontal at the same time, okay, where you're basically caught between a rock and a hard place looking for a breakout. So I do believe you're getting squeezed and you're getting compression into some sort of corner here where a breakout is going to occur. You're either going to break resistance and go long, okay, up to this long point here, or you're going to lose support and go short, and for me you're going to come back, potentially retest these lows. It's that simple. It is literally that simple. Okay, you break resistance, you go long, okay, you start to come down, lose support, you go short. Okay, now potential targets. Okay, what gives confluence here to the fact that potentially we may be rolling over a little bit, okay, is that I think from this low, okay, we're retracing back up to this high. You can see that currently we've come down to this low. We tried going back to this high, okay, but right now we're running into the golden ratio, which is resistance. Okay, so this is a strong area of resistance, okay, which is the same trend line as I've said that we need to break out. This is our current primary resistance that we need to break before we see any upside. Okay, so if we was to break out of this pattern, okay, if we was to break out, we have to see the breakout above the 050, okay, and the 0618, because these are the areas right now that could literally potentially push us back down to retest these lows, okay, if we fail to break them. So for me, the confirmation signal, okay, is literally tackling above this resistance, holding the 050 support, okay, and then starting to break out. Okay, because if you don't, and this is resistance, potentially you've got this A, you've got this B, and right now if you start to come down and lose this low here, okay, you're starting a larger reversal wave, and you're basically continuing the trend of reversal. Okay, so we need to see this area broken. We need to see this trend line broken, because currently we're running into the 0618, which is the golden ratio, and is where projects basically find resistance. Okay, if they can't break out, you've basically got a high, a lower high. Okay, so you got this high here, you got this high here. It indicates depleting buying pressure because you've got lower highs. And what would confirm that, okay, is if you continuously keep getting hit by this trend line and starting to do something like this. Okay, because then you're coiling up and you potentially starting to form some sort of descending triangle between a level of resistance and support. You lose that support, okay, you're going short, and your next target is down back to where you came from. Okay, so that's just a quick update on XPR. Okay, so break this trend line. Okay, break this trend line. I'm looking to go long back up to this local resistance point. Okay, but lose this support. Okay, if we start losing if we start losing this ascending level of support here, okay, and you're doing something like this, you got this A, you got this B, do look to go short for a minimum back down to these to these lows. Okay, do look for a retest to these lows at a minimum. Okay, so it's all about breaking resistance, okay, coming up and tackling resistance to go long, okay, or it's about losing this ascending level of support to go short, okay, on the daily time frame. That's as simple as it is, because right now, until you get a large breakout, as I said, you're literally coiling up between support and resistance. Okay, but the negative thing here is that you are running into the golden ratio. Okay, if we fail to close above this price, okay, if we fail to close above 0.00211 right here where we keep hitting our heads, okay, it does indicate that potentially you come up, you've got a wave, you've got a B wave. If you fail to break out and you do start to come down, you've potentially got the C wave down to lower targets. So potential lower targets for me, okay, if we do start to come down and lose this low right here, okay, for me, your minimum targets, and say this is some sort of A, B, C corrective wave, my minimum target would be down to the 1272 at 0.001893. Okay, and at that point, potentially you would find some sort of support. But you would be losing this low, which would be quite negative, okay, because that's our foundational low currently speaking. So we have to hold this and adhere to this trend line, okay, or we have to break out of this resistance. It's literally as simple. If you start to, get squeezed into this corner here and you lose support, for me, you're looking, as I said, as a minimum retracement to that and these. Okay, if you start to come up and break resistance, okay, you're looking for a long up, potentially up to this resistance first, and then local highs. So it would be healthy to see that, because what you can see here is potentially, okay. Again, there's all big potentials. This could be some sort of ascending triangle. It's what I said at the start of the video. It's all about holding this support, this ascending support. It's literally all it is. You've met resistance, come back for support. Right now, it looks like you're going to come back up and get squeezed here. Literally get squeezed. Okay. But first, to get that confirmation that we are in this ascending triangle, we have to break out of this. Okay, we have to break out of this resistance. Okay, we have to break this resistance points. Okay, so to confirm that you are getting the long back up to this resistance, all you have to do is break this trend line. Okay, break this trend line here on the daily. It confirms that you're running back up to this resistance point, okay, of which you will potentially then come back again for a high level of support, looking for your breakout. Okay, but it's all about support and resistance. It's all about support and resistance. So as I said, start to come up here, break out, look for the long up to this point. Okay, if you start to get rejected here and you're continuously getting hit by this trend line here and you start to hit your head on this, do look to go short. Okay, it's literally that simple, guys. So that's a quick update today for you on XPR. I'm going to look at the weekly time frame. Now, to me, what it looks like we're potentially doing here, again, this looks really bad, doesn't it? But potentially what you've got on your hands is some sort of, you've got an Elliott wave, a wave 1, a wave 2, a large wave 3, a wave 4, and right now you're looking for this wave 5 bottom. And I think this is where near the lows are potentially near, and you're looking to find a way out, basically, and putting in the lows here. So for me, what you're looking for here on the weekly is from this high, I have to go from this wick down to this low. Okay, right now for me, a key area of support is on this 1272 right here. Okay, this is a key area of support for me because you've come up, you've ran into the 050 on the weekly, which is, again, I keep saying the 050 and the 0618, they indicate resistance. Okay, if you can't break above those, they do indicate that you're going to potentially retrace back down to the lows you came from and potentially lose those. Okay, and we did lose those, which is why I'm saying on the smaller time frames, if we fail to break above the 050 and the 0618, it's basically looking in the near short term for a retracement, still a retracement. Okay, so potentially you've run into this. Okay, you came back, you didn't hold support, you've lost it, but you've wicked close to this 1272, but you actually haven't hit that as a wave target yet. So potentially you could have rolled up here, lost this one fib. Okay, at minimum, I'm looking for a retest of this in the near short term, potentially down to this 1272 here, and that's at a minimum. Okay, so potentially that's what we're doing. We're getting pushed down to this 1272, and this could be your area of support to go long, and it could be that. So this is your wave 4. This could be your wave 5 wave down, and that could be the correction over. Okay, but it's at this point, if Proton did come down and meet this level, okay, it did something like this where it came down here. At this point, it would have to hold this, create some sort of higher low, okay, and start to get back up through these fibs. Or if it doesn't, and it turns this support into resistance, and you meet this as resistance, okay, you could potentially be looking at a further downside to these targets. Okay, so it's all a game of support and resistance. In the near short term, for me, it does look like we are trying to push to this 1272. Okay, it does. But again, okay, on the daily time frame, as I've said, right now you've got this ascending level of support. Okay, and you've got this resistance. You can basically see it here on the weekly. Okay, and you're coiling up in some sort of little triangle. If you was to break out, okay, you can see that you'd have a long target back up to the one fib as resistance at 0.02477. In my eyes right now, it just looks like we're much closer to a bottom than we are anything. Okay, and where you are down here on the weekly, okay, you're overextended from this 20, you're overextended from this 55. At some point, wherever the low is, you are gonna potentially come back up and retest these EMAs. Okay, because you can see that on the weekly, this 20 has been the primary resistance. Once you start getting above the 20, that's another on the weekly, guys. Okay, on the weekly, once you start getting, say this 20 keeps coming down on your heads, okay, and we've been meeting it as resistance, a good long signal for me on the weekly time frame is if you start coming down, and if you start coming up and breaking above the 20, okay, and holding it as support, then for me, you're going to start to get this curl up and the retracement back to the 55. Okay, so this 20 EMA, once you start to see weekly closes above it, okay, like closing above and holding it, okay, so potentially getting above and holding it, that's where you start to get your confirmational breakouts. Okay, so yeah, guys, that's a quick update on Proton XPR. I hope you enjoyed today's content. If you did, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, from Chart Nerd TA, peace out.